And we are live. So, welcome to episode 306 of An American Werewolf. I am Michael Martin, the American Werewolf, and you can't have any fun in my taxi. In the house tonight, we go Yo-Yo Dean, Big Brother Almighty.
It's Yo-Yo, not Dean, Big Brother Almighty. You gotta know the reference. If you don't know the reference, you're a sad.
I got the impression that Giancarlo Esposito and Rosie Perez weren't acting. I had that they were just, that's probably.
I think they were doing that for a ham sandwich and just talking.
I think in the '90s, that's probably what they were like. Kind of. Yeah. Rosie Perez struck me as a little on the feral side back in the day, and Giancarlo Esposito did the same before he was Gus Fring. The calm-spoken guy in Breaking Bad. Yeah, he was. Yeah. Also in the house tonight, we got John K. Alvarez, and he's tonight on Earth at 38.9368 north and latitude and negative 74.911 longitude.
Go look it up on a map or a globe.
I'm not going to do that. All right, but thank you for joining me both. I do appreciate it. We got a little bit of a late start. Last week I had a family emergency, so I was unable to get on the stream, and so thanks for sticking with me. I have to say, I have to mention it, the idea for the month of May was to cover Wes Craven. And so what ended up happening was it was a good idea. I stick by the fact that it was a good idea, but what ended up happening was the premium movies that I wanted to cover, like the original Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream. I think even Ryan had talked to me and he said, you should try New Nightmare. That's a Wes Craven movie. It's actually pretty good. I said, okay. And then I said, okay, let's do Wes Craven. And then what ended up happening was I didn't do the research first. And I found out that all of those movies are still, after almost 30 or 40 years, on premium channels. Within those loyal circles, they're still considered top quality films. And so you got to go to Paramount Plus. I think Paramount Plus has them all. For some reason, they have all the Wes Cravens. And I imagine at some point they get to the free sites like Tubi or something, or Pluto TV, but they weren't available for the month of May. So what I did, I said, okay, well, let's see what I can find on the free sites, because as infrequently as possible, I don't like to ask people to pay for things, just to appear on the show, especially a whole month's worth. Like one movie, okay, could you please cough up $4 so we can talk about this? No problem. So what did I find? I find Swamp Thing. I find The Hills Have Eyes. And I find, of course, Last House on the Left, which is available on Tubi. So yesterday, in preparation for what should have been the stream last night, I sat down at like 7 o'clock in the morning. Before I went into work, and started to watch Last House on the Left from 1972, which I had never seen before. And it was just I explained to Bill before we went on, it was pretty much the cinematic equivalent of someone hocking a loogie for 84 minutes. And I'm just like, I can't watch this. Like, this is just like filth for the sake of filth. Maybe it was, this big reckoning, or, oh my God, what is this back in 1972? But in 2026, I was like, yeah, fuck this. We're not doing this. And
I still laughed my ass off watching it, especially the cop stuff. It was great.
I know Martin Cove was in it. That was the only thing that, like, I found like remotely, like, reassuring, or I don't know what you would call remotely interesting. Like, oh, there's Martin Cove. Okay. But I was like, yeah, we're not doing this. So that left us with nothing to do for the whole fucking month of May. And then John came up with the idea, hey, we could get back to the one we were supposed to do last week when I had a medical emergency, Jim Jarmusch's Night on Earth. That is where we are. If you guys are ready to go, shall we get it going?
Let's do it.
Let's pay the fare.
Boogie woogie. So we got some comments here in the stream. We got Eric from Hey Internet Eric here. What's happening, man? He said, Last House on the Left is complete garbage. Always has been. Should be rated less than 1 out of 5 if it would be allowed. Yeah, I'd say a 0.
Oh, I think you're being nice.
This movie, this rating system goes from 0 to 5, up by halves. So 0, 0.5, 1, 1.5. I would go with absolute 0. It did remind me of Eric. If you're there, we were going to cover Rob Zombie's Lords of Salem, and I remember telling you I just watched it again for the first time in, like, I don't know how many years, 10 plus years, 12 years or whatever, and we tried to watch it to cover on the show, and I'm like, yeah, we're not covering this on the show. I just don't want. No, thanks. Couldn't believe it, but I mean, they say it's achieved a cult status. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Well, even when they tried to remake it.
Was it I Spit on Your Grave or something like that?
Well, they did. They also did Last House on the Left. They tried to remake that, or they did remake that, I think about 10, 12 years ago. And I watched it out of curiosity because I got to see Last House on the Left when I was in high school on Betamax. That's how old I am. But the point about it was, I'm like, oh, let me watch it because some of the actors I knew, and I'm like, all right, maybe they did. No, it just didn't fly. And I have nothing against Wes Craven's earlier movies. I think he was doing it just to get experience. You know, like people working with Roger Corman. But this was just no.
It's definitely a trauma movie before there was any trauma, but yeah, it's just a lot of hippie nonsense. Like some of it's funny, but most of it is just like, hey, let's freak out the straights and have this guy rape this girl and have this girl kick a puppy to death. And it's just like, nah.
He said that I would give it a 0. Lords of Salem at least had promise for the first half or so. Yeah, Lords of Salem, it had a way better cast. You had Dee Wallace in there, a couple of other people that I recognize, although the names I can't remember right now. And it was a halfway decent premise, a bit on the nose with the like the Rosemary's Baby type of setup that it had. But yeah, it was way better than I would give that like a 2.5 or a 2 or something like that. Yet there was nothing redeeming about this at all. But
the only worse independent horror movie I ever saw was called Blood-Sucking Freaks, which was way worse. If you can imagine a film that's way worse than this House on the Left.
I can't.
It's worse.
I can't. No, I don't want to. And I can't.
It's so bad I wear it as a badge of honor sitting through it.
Yeah, you should, man, because I think I got through 30 minutes. I'm like, fuck this movie, man. You know, I'm not fucking watching this.
Oh, you missed the good stuff.
Yeah, no, I didn't. There was no good stuff. There was no fucking good stuff. But thanks to John, we do have a movie to talk about, and it is called Jim Jarmusch's Night on Earth. And this is from Wikipedia. Night on Earth is a 1991 comedy drama anthology film written, produced, and directed by Jim Jarmusch. It is a collection of 5 vignettes that take place roughly simultaneously on the same night concerning the temporary bond formed between taxi driver and passenger in 5 cities: Los Angeles, New York, Paris, Rome, and Helsinki. Jarmusch wrote the screenplay in approximately 8 days. Jesus. Wow. And the choice of certain cities was largely based on the actors with whom he wanted to work. The accompanying soundtrack is by Tom Waits. The Criterion Collection released the film on DVD and Blu-ray on April 9, 2019. Let's start off with Yo-Yo there. What did you think of this movie? This was the one that you were pushing since I said we were going to do Jarmusch.
Well, this is the first Jarmusch movie I ever saw. I had no idea who Jim Jarmusch was. It was like a blockbuster night. I got the VHS from a little video place right on Pitney Road down in Pomona. And I just watched it and fell in love with this movie. It was fantastic. The biggest reason I got it was because Tom Waits did the soundtrack, and it was just fantastic. I love this movie. I can't say enough about it.
All right. Let's see. Longitude and latitude guy. What do you got for us? Had you wait? Hold on. Had you seen this before? Because John, what we found out with John as it relates to Jarmusch, he hadn't seen a lot of the film. So a lot of the covered this past month have been first time viewing.
Well, I did get to see, and it's a shame I had to leave or couldn't join in to talk for Dead Man.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Bill tanked the stream.
This was the first one I saw. Again, like with Bill, but mine was on a different level. I had an older actor I used to work with in a theater troupe, and he would introduce me to new movies. He would invite a bunch of the actors over and play like I got to see Kenneth Branagh's Henry V.
Oh.
The first time went by him saying, "No, watch this, you'll like that." I was shocked because this guy was in his 70s when I saw it, and he said, and I agreed after watching it, that this is like a film version of a play. It's all the way the scenes are laid out, and they can go back in time and retell it from that. And I just sat there and was fascinated with it. I laughed hard and even cried a bit in the movie. And at the very end, I'm sitting there going, who the hell is Tom Waite, and why don't I know who he is? You know, when I started hearing the soundtrack. This is a great, great movie.
Yeah, every single one of the stories is just heartbreaking and funny at the same time. It's just terrific writing. Terrific writing.
This is my first time viewing it. I liked it a lot. Certainly more than if I had to sit here and talk about Last House on the Left.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought it had moments of greatness. It was really, really good overall. That's where I left it.
Fair enough.
Not my favorite of Jarmusch's films, but certainly a really solid film. If I found a cheap copy of Criterion, I'd pick it up.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the tone changes. There's a different tone for each of these little vignettes.
Yeah. As you go through the evening. Yeah.
Yeah, as you go through the evening, you've got some powerhouse performances by some very non-American actors.
Yeah.
You know, names I didn't know before, so on and so forth. You start off, the first one is Los Angeles, and you've got Winona Ryder, and Jenna Rollins.
Yeah.
And that is a team that it never would have occurred to me to put those two together. And I hate to say it, and I think John and I talked about it when we covered Dracula for 300. I kind of slept on how gorgeous Winona Ryder was.
Yes.
Back in the heyday. And you're like, oh my God. Like, you look at it now, you're like, holy shit. Like, how did I miss all that? She's just stunningly beautiful. This waifish sort of thing, you know, this little pixie girl just moving through like all these parts and characters. And, you know, this was her at her high point, you know, in the late 80s, early, you know, the mid 90s. She had about a decade-long run, maybe a little bit longer.
Right after Beetlejuice, it was just perfect for her.
Yeah, she was the it girl for a little bit, for a good while.
For several years, yeah.
The difference was that, unlike the typical it girl, she's a real actress.
Yeah.
She's the real thing.
Her and Christina Ricci were at neck and neck that whole time because they came from being little children and growing into very beautiful young adults.
I think that this was my favorite vignette. Because it's just so low key.
Yeah.
It's just so low key. Jenna Rollins is a Hollywood agent. She's sort of stuck at the airport. She has to get a taxi. And Winona is playing like a tomboy who, you know, just is driving a taxi. And, you know, she has all these mechanical skills, you know, that you hear about she's talking to the dispatcher. They got to fix this fucking thing. She's kind of rough around the edge, but she's just gorgeous and incredible to look at. And they end up sharing a taxi as she takes Jenna Rollins from LAX all the way to Beverly Hills.
Right.
Where ultimately Jenna Rollins offers her a part in her film. Or this film that she's looking for, talent. She's looking for this actress. She happens to see it in this cab driver, this unlikely, this like miracle sort of casting opportunity, and she turns it down.
Yeah,
that's what I loved about it, because her character is just, and I wrote this in the notes, she's just pure of heart. She's like, no, I'm a taxi driver. I want to be a mechanic. My brother's mechanics. I want to get married someday. I want to have a bunch of kids. That's what I want to do. Like, she's already set. She's already figured out what she wants to do. She's content with it. I think 9 out of 10 people, if you had offered them an opportunity, just like off the street, to be, in a big Hollywood movie, they would drop everything that they had to be in it. And she just politely declines it, and I loved that.
It's the typical Hollywood movie story. The agent or the casting agent sees the person working at like a diner or waitress or, Christ, Tony Curtis supposedly opened a door for somebody as a doorman in New York, and the agent came back out and said, you should be in Hollywood. And that's how he got started. But what Jarvis does is make it realistic. She goes, I don't want that. That's your American dream. My American dream is this. This is what I want.
Yeah.
And I really did. I love that. That was because it was very genuine.
Yeah.
And I just found that sweet and charming when it pulled it off. And on a side note, come on, getting Jenna Rollins.
Yeah.
This independent actress with,
Cassavetes.
Cassavetes. It's just like her and Winona Ryder. The only thing I regretted was I never got to see them in another movie together.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see them play mother-daughter just to see what they could do. They had a genuine connection in this.
I felt that way too, and I loved how Winona kept calling her mom. Like, smoke too much. Okay, Mom. Thanks.
Yeah.
And
it worked.
I love that Jenna Rollins just kind of rolled on with it. You don't want it? Okay. There was integrity to her character as well. She shot her shot with her. Are you sure I want you to understand what it is that I'm suggesting here. The opportunity of offering it to you. She spells it out, maybe even tries a second time. Winona politely declines. And she says, okay, then. Best of luck to you, and, all the best.
I always wondered if she was jealous, that Winona was going to go lead her life and, type deal.
It's a thought, because you did get the impression that, Rollins is kind of running the rat race.
Yeah.
She's, taking calls and, I got 20 people. He's not going to, she already knows in advance he's not going to like any of them, whoever he is. She's got boyfriend troubles, did this guy call? Oh, he didn't call. Oh, okay. And Winona's like, you can't live with him. You can't shoot him.
That made me laugh out loud. Just because the way she said it was so innocent.
At some point, we're going to have to cover Cassavetes just to get at some more Jenna Rollins, because she really is fantastic. And we need to be talking about her. Yo-Yo, are we not getting you in here enough? Was there something you wanted to add for this one?
No, man, you guys got this covered. You're in love with those two actresses. I really enjoy this one, and the tone it suits the fact that it's sunset going into the evening, so the tone of the piece really feels like time around sunset. I really like this one. It's not my favorite one, but it's really good. It's the one that should open it.
Here's one for you for this. I only saw on YouTube a very young Charlie Rose interview Jim Jarmusch about this movie.
Okay.
And he asked him about Winona Ryder and Jenna Rollins, and he goes, and Charlie Rose gets that cock in his eye, and he goes, "Did you write this for two men?" And he went, "Yeah, that's why it took 9 days." He originally, I think it was Johnny Depp he was in Oh Brother Where Art Thou, as the guy with the shaved head who got arrested. They thought was killed. That actor,
Turturro.
Yeah, Turturro wanted to do a movie with him, and he originally wrote it with two guys in mind. And Del Toro got caught in another movie contract and couldn't get out. And as he said, I was at a party and met Winona Ryder and Jenna Rollins at the same party.
Wow.
Completely different. And he went, and they both said, "I'd really like to work with you." And he went home and changed it to two women. He just rewrote it. I thought when I heard that story, I'm like, well, that just adds more to it.
Well, that sort of reinforces what I was going to say. So Jarmusch wrote the screenplay in just 8 days after another project fell through. He chose cities and stories largely to collaborate with actors he admired. So Winona, Jenna, Benini, who is just a fucking maniac in this.
Yep.
And Armin Mueller-Stahl, who I just loved.
Yes.
He's a great. He gave us many decades of great character acting. He should have been a leading man in a better world, or in a world that regularly made better movies. He should have been a leading man, and he never was. It says shooting inside moving taxis across 5 cities and countries proved grueling. Jarmusch used 2 identical cabs per location, one intact, one gutted for cameras and lights. It required training separate crews and a stunt driver for Rome's tight Fiat maneuvers. He later called it far harder than expected. Quote, "Anyone who has made a film in a car interior will tell you, don't ever do that again." Okay, so that brings us to the second one, which is Paris, France.
Yes.
No, it's not. It's
New York.
New York. It's New York. Okay, and we've got Armin Mueller-Stahl. We've got Giancarlo Esposito, and we've got Rosie Perez. And as I was saying, I can't remember if I said it before or
one more time
during the stream. I don't think that Giancarlo Esposito and Rosie Perez were acting.
No.
I just think that's probably what a cab ride would have been with them like in the 1990s. Thoughts?
Fantastic. This is the favorite one of the whole movie.
For you?
I love Giancarlo. He's just great in it. And it's really hits home, because if you did ever try to get a cab into Brooklyn back then, even if you were a white guy, it was almost damn near impossible. When the cab pulls up and he rolls the window down just a little bit and he's like, "Brooklyn," and he drives off. That's happened to me.
Yeah.
That is hard to do, and I can imagine it being harder still if you were an African American.
It did look cold out there, I will say that. But then again, when they started driving to Brooklyn and I saw what Brooklyn looked like, I was like, fuck that. Yeah, I'm not going there either.
7-8 years before Brooklyn became the hipster capital and became all gentrified. It was still a pit back then.
This was before Rudy Giuliani, like he cleaned up the whole fucking city. Who was the mayor back then?
Dinkins.
Oh, Jesus.
On his last legs.
Yeah, that explains everything. I think, John, what do you got to say about this one?
I loved the two guys, and don't get me wrong, I liked Rosie Perez's acting in it, but the two male performers, this was a buddy movie I wanted to see more of. Only because of the way they reached out to each other, so to speak, especially Helmet.
Yeah,
his fascination with the city and the lights and everything else. And when it came to the end and he was on his own, I felt scared for him. I was worried about him.
He's definitely very innocent.
At the end of that scene, because I'm like, oh my God, please nobody hurt him. Because he was that lost. Because he got happy because it was the first time he felt like he was okay, or safe. I love that. I also love that they also did side glances to each other, like when Helmut said he was from East Germany, and this was 1991.
Right. Yeah.
And it was the year after, and he gave him the look, when Yo-Yo kind of just like gave him that look, like, wait, Russian, that whole scare.
Yeah,
that's what he asked him. He's like, "Did you escape?" He's like, "No, I didn't."
Yeah, it's a major turnabout too. You don't think about immigrants being from Europe, but there was a big wave of Polish and East Germans coming in as the wall fell, and it was like a big wave of European immigrants trying to navigate America, and this was a perfect example of it.
I love that when Helmut saw Rosie Perez and thought she was like this powerful woman.
Oh yeah,
and Yo-Yo was going, "Yeah, really?"
Yeah.
He's just used to it.
Fuck you, Yo-Yo.
But you got to see, for lack of a better term, New York City and sadly Brooklyn in a new set of eyes.
I loved, and again, Armin Mueller-Stahl. I think he had the purity of heart.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He was almost childlike. This childlike wonder in this old man. Just innocently sort of, passing through, what is essentially a pretty unsafe place, New York City. Not the safest place in the world. This childlike sort of thing, and I love that he was just sort of taken with like how beautiful he thought Rosie Perez was. He's like, she's beautiful. And there's that one scene where he's just turned around. He's just looking at her, and the guy's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Turn around." He can't help himself. And she picked up on it. It wasn't like a lecherous, kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's just innocent, and when he starts playing with the two flutes, that he was a circus clown, he was a performer, and now he's in this, he's in the new world. Trying to make his way, and he's going to spend about an hour or so with Giancarlo.
So Rosie Perez is Giancarlo's sister-in-law. So she's married, but she's out looking for something. And when Helmut recognizes, when he sees her as this beautiful woman, I think that's the validation that she's out looking for. And she gets it without having to, do anything unsavory. And Yo-Yo's just sitting there like, I don't understand.
Can we get a round of applause for Yo-Yo saying unsavory on this episode? Thank you. I'm so glad somebody used that word.
It's interesting because she was, she was way across on the other side of Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And they picked her up like in the middle of the night. You feel your sister-in-law just like walking the streets, in the pitch black in the dead of winter, and you're like, "What the fuck is that?" Get the fuck in the cab. We're going home. You're trying to save, something on several levels here. And he's just, she's just fighting. Fuck you, blah, blah, blah.
I loved it. I did. I laughed at that. I'm like, that's classic Rosie.
Yeah.
In a city as massive as New York, and your brother-in-law just shows up driving a cab that's not his with this fucking innocent clown guy. She's right. It was bugged. It was just a ridiculous situation.
But New York City is the place that would happen.
I remember going to a Henry Rollins spoken word show one time, and he said that it was the dead of winter, and he was in New York, and he was renting a car, and he's driving through. He's got I rented a BMW or something like that, and I wanted to be comfortable, and he said he was driving down the street in Midtown, and he said it's the dead of winter, and he looks over, and who's walking down the street in a pair of jeans and no shirt but fucking Dee Dee Ramone. And he's like, he pulls over. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing, man?" And he's like, "Get in the car." He's like, "Oh, hey, man," and he like gets in the fucking, he's like, "Where are you going?" And he like gives it, or he had like a white T-shirt on or something like that. It's like the dead of winter, and he picks up fucking Dee Dee Ramone and takes, because I think that year he said like he had lost a lot of friends. Like that was the year Lane Staley had died, Dee Dee Ramone died. I think Tom Petty had died that year. I think Johnny Cash had died, although Johnny Cash wasn't his friend. He said he did have the opportunity to meet him once or twice. He knew absolutely from the beginning that even though Johnny was polite, he had no idea who Henry was. But yeah, I mean, you're just going through fucking downtown Brooklyn in the middle of the night. And there's your fucking sister-in-law. You're like, what the fuck is this? No,
Yep.
get in the fucking car. But my impression watching the end of it is that Helmut was going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know, he's made it to the new world and he's going to be safe. And yeah, he's going to be okay. You never got that impression about any of these people except for Benini, maybe, because I don't think anyone was going to make that fucking guy okay. But okay. Jesus Christ. That brings us to Paris. And I love this one.
Yeah.
And we've got Isaac de Banco, who was the ice cream guy from Ghost Dog.
Yep.
He was the ice cream man from Ghost Dog. And we've got an actress I've never heard of before called Beatrice Dahl, who I don't know anything about. And what did you think?
Oh, hilarious!
Yeah,
it's so ironic because he gets verbally assaulted by those two dickheads that he lets in his cab, and he kicks him out in the middle of the night. And then he picks up this girl, hoping that she's nice to him or whatever, and she's a total demon. It just rips him to shreds. It's the best.
Mm-hmm. I actually kind of felt at the end it kind of was. When she smirked, I went, well, yeah, I'm agreeing with you because he wasn't the friendliest of heroes, or protagonist.
Well,
because I think the two guys in the front were picking on him, but I think when she was saying, I said, didn't go in. A blind woman's telling her you're driving the wrong way. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was great.
Well, it's just poking holes into his into his entire personality and ego. The poor guy is just getting ripped to shreds every which way in this evening, and he's stumbling to try and impress this girl, and she can see right through him even though she's blind. It was just the best.
Mm-hmm.
I liked this one a lot, especially, he gets stuck in the cab with those two guys from Cameroon or Nigeria or something. Yeah. And they're playing like African politics with him. They're drunk. They're picking on where he's from, calling him a hick, and basically an African hick. And he's just like, get the fuck out of my cab. I love that he threw him out in the middle of nowhere because he was right to do so. They're disrespecting him and they're drunk and they're obnoxious. And, the guy's leaning forward and looking at him. And he's like, look, I work 12 hours a day, every fucking day. I don't need this shit from you. Get the fuck out of my cab. And he thinks that he's going, you're right. He thinks he's going to have this easy time with this. And I didn't think he was that obnoxious. But I think, the woman that he picked up had a major chip on her shoulder about everything. So no matter what you said, she had to fucking stab at him with a fork, and poke the hole in him. And he's not going to throw out a blind woman in the middle of the, in the middle of the night. But in order to take her somewhere, you've got to take all this abuse now. Mm-hmm. And it did seem to be it was never a sad thing. It always remains, funny. Mm-hmm. And it reminded me of the NYPD Blue episode where Medavoy, he has to interview this little person hooker, and she's like, you're not so goddamn tall yourself, this, that, and the other. But it's sort of validated at the end because he gets into an accident and he has sight.
Yeah.
And she just kind of smirks and she's just walking away, and he's, they're yelling at each other.
Yeah. If this was in English, she would have looked at him after the crash and went schmuck.
Yeah.
I mean, something to that effect.
Yeah,
I really did. And Jarmusch said this was his first one he wrote. This was when he was writing the script. This is the first one he wanted to expand on it. And he said, no, this is it. And that's when he got the idea of doing the 5 clips.
He does that a lot. It's like he took all the side quests that he normally sticks in the middle of his movies and just made them separate vignettes, which is perfect length.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. 35 years ago, someone was already sick of the immigration. Because when he gets in the accident, the guy gets out and he's like, "This isn't fun." The other guy gets out, "This isn't fucking Africa. You can't drive like that around here." And he's like, "Don't be racist." He's like, "I'm not being racist. You're going down the wrong way of the fucking road." He's like, "Jesus Christ." 35 years ago, some guy was already fucking over it, you know?
And if this was done by another director, they would have tried to give it a happy ending.
Mm.
I'm kind of glad it just was a good ending. The way it ended well.
I'm glad that it just ends.
Yeah, it just ends.
None of these vignettes try to be more than what they are.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
You know, even the last one, which we'll get to. I mean, you know, because that's the most serious of the five.
Right.
You know, they're just rides in a taxi cab.
Right.
And they had, remember the HBO show Taxi Cab Confessions? They used to have a late night show, and it would just be, you know, drunk people or people going through something, or, you know, like sometimes you get couples hooking up in the back of the cab and this, that, and the other. It's this brief interaction.
It's an intimacy.
Yeah.
I mean, you're isolated together. It could be just like an empty ride, nobody talking to each other. But then, you know, if you strike up a conversation, I remember when I had to take cabs in Philly and New York when I'm running to an audition or going to, I would actually have pretty decent conversations with people, you know, that I've turned into plays, you know, taking some of that conversation and worked it in a play format because they were genuine.
It said taxi cabs serve as transient, intimate bubbles where drivers and passengers, often from vastly different backgrounds, share unfiltered moments. These encounters reveal vulnerability, honesty, and unexpected bonds without lasting change or grand revelations. The night fosters openness that daytime routines suppress. I was working today. I was in a barber shop, and I just started talking to this dude, and you know, that's kind of the same experience. You know, you just have a little chit chat, you know, and talk about whatever. And I mean, it's a positive experience. I'm like, "Hey, man, you know, it's good to meet you." You know, he's like, "Oh, you know, if you're passing back through again, you know, stop by." I'm like, "Oh, maybe I'll be back in a few weeks, you know, this, that, or the other." And there was another guy, you know, just waiting there to get his haircut. And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't anticipate stopping in here today. I really appreciate it. You know, we just had a little chit chat." He's like, "Man, you know, I've been here for 35 years, you know, this, that, or the other." It happens sometimes, you know, just an unfiltered, organic experience.
Right.
You know, and if you can have that, those are the very best kind, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And the way he presented it was in a way that was so easy on you. It wasn't, none of this felt forced.
No.
Right.
Even in some of the sadder ones or the sadder situations, none of this felt. I love using this line. It really ticks off some of my acting friends. I said, "I didn't see any acting. I just saw people being there, you know, type deal." And that's what works.
Yeah, that works for this. All right, let's get to the fourth one. We've got Benini.
This one's crazy.
Fucking Benini. As far as I thought, you know, Jarmusch could have just had Benini doing his monologue. And the skit could have ended with him just picking somebody up and then it ends.
Right.
But for me, this one got a little warped. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on in here? You know, and just, that one went off the rails a little bit. I don't know what Jarmusch was thinking about.
It's the perfect tone for the middle of the night, you know?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Super late at night.
It was the insanity of late night.
Yes.
You know, type deal. I mean, I love the fact he kept on saying it was a confession.
Yeah.
You know, and then again, you also have Benini. It's the equivalent of having Robin Williams playing in a role like this, where they can kind of go off, and if you're smart, you just let the camera keep running.
He just went off, and it was like he was caught in some stream.
Yeah.
You know, the stream just took him along, man. Like this powerful, like he's a small guy, but he was just a giant in that moment. Like that first 5 minutes of the skit where he's just monologuing and driving by himself, and you're like, holy shit! You know, like, this guy is fucking amazing. You And you forget, like Benini is another one. I mean, he had that big one now where Life is Beautiful, but otherwise it's just been decades of character acting. And,
right.
It's like like the Italian Totoro or something like that.
Exactly.
The guy can just do anything because he's acting.
Yeah.
You get the impression that he literally could just do anything if you put the script in front of him.
And I really think if it was anybody else, like I said, it would take somebody at the level of a Robin Williams to keep you engaged.
Yeah.
As he was talking like that.
Yeah.
Well, anybody else could have sounded manic or even threatening.
When you really stop to think about it, the whole thing is kind of a monologue because there's so little dialogue from the passenger. Is he a bishop? I don't believe he is.
No, I really think he was just a priest. I thought he was just a priest.
The best part is that he does it so innocently. He's like saying it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm confessing, but then he goes through this whole story, and he's like a little kid just saying, I went and stole candy or something. And he pulls up to the transvestite hookers, and he's just like, nice girls. And all of this just kills the bishop. It was hilarious.
Do you notice one of the transvestite hookers him? I thought one of them was Benini wearing a wig and lipstick at one point.
It wouldn't have surprised me with that fucking performance, but I got to tell you, as off the fucking hinges as it was, fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
It was fucking fantastic. And it wasn't my favorite, but I think it was the best.
Yeah.
There's people who turn around and call that, I had a director who used to call it manic magnificence. Because they get so into that thing, you just step back and watch them. Take it all in.
Wow, just let the guy fucking cook, man.
Let him cook, man.
All right, that brings us to the last one. We go to Helsinki, and I don't know any of these actors. It was certainly the most serious of the five. Not really much comedy. Just guys. 3 drunk passengers.
Yeah.
But all 4 men, the fourth being the driver, just kind of sharing their trauma for like a 30-minute car ride. You think he's kind of bad, try this on for size.
Right.
What's wrong with him? Oh, this happened, and then this happened, and then this, and all in like one day.
Well, it's great how he does that turnaround where they start out, where all these guys are a little bit threatening, they're drunk, and they're like telling the cab driver, "Hey, man, our friend just had the worst day of his life. Have some sympathy. He's drunk, but he had this horrible thing happen to him." And then they tell the story, and it comes to the end, and his friends are like, "Fuck that guy. Fuck that. They dump him in the street." Like that story. That story that he tells is so affecting. That they go from protecting their friend who lost his job to fuck that guy, he's an asshole.
And I thought it was funny to end the other guy, the friend's bad day. They step in with the cab fare.
Yes.
Yeah. He's the only one with any money.
Only one with Michael, this is a rock band.
Oh, is it?
I saw this in an interview, the Charlie Rose interview.
Okay.
Because the producers or the movie studio, whoever he's doing with, wanted it in London. And he said, no, it has to be Helsinki. He worked with, I can't remember the band's name. Jarmusch did a documentary for them.
All right.
And shot the film, and he learned some Finnish, but he said, I could tell them what I wanted, and they knew exactly what I wanted. Because the cab driver, he said, when he saw his face, he said, this is the guy I'm looking for. He has to be that guy. He has that hangdog look. And when he told them what to do, they all said, oh, absolutely. They supposedly shot that one real quick. They said, all right.
That's good.
But I can't remember the name. He mentioned it. It was like one of those Finnish heavy metal bands, from. But it was. I didn't know it either. It was like literally like the Charlie Rose thing where he's turned around and said, yeah, I'd worked with them before. I just put him in a car and it said, do me a favor, act.
It's good work, and for people who probably aren't actors, it's just all believable.
Yeah. And I think that really, again, going back to Jarmusch, he knew what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that happens here, with the exception of Benigni, that goes like up into the stratosphere here.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, in every, well, maybe Giancarlo, like I said, I think Giancarlo and Rosie weren't acting. I just think that,
right.
When you talk in the early 90s in Brooklyn, so they didn't really have to, do much. But I think the tone throughout is just even. They're just conversations. So you don't have to take it way up here, or have to provide all this range. And the fact that they're limited encounters over, say, a 15-minute period of time, allows you to, work to do well within those parameters. If this was something like a 90-minute car ride, then you might be stretching it a little bit.
Yeah.
At 15, 20 minutes, go. And just talk, and okay, yeah, I can do that. And that's the simplicity of it, and that's what makes it work, I think.
And I think also with Bellini being so far high with the comedy, it was good because the last act in the show was very real and I don't want to say depressing, but more, it was reality.
Yeah.
What you think that's a bet? I lost a son.
Yeah.
Type deal. And we know people, or you may know people who've gone through that.
Yeah.
I think that
each one seems to hit a progression, and then it crescendos with Bellini, and then the last one is sort of the denouement.
Now I'll bring it back to reality, because I read a interview with Jarmusch where he turned around and said they wanted to make it a happy ending. He's like, no, that's not life.
Remember, John, remember when we did Patterson? Because I was just about to say, another place you can find encounters like this is in a bar.
Yeah.
They don't. They aren't encounters that happen every day.
Right.
I imagine most cab rides are just mundane, and you go from A to B, and maybe the person doesn't even talk to you. They're on their phone or whatever. But in a bar, and if you remember in Patterson, Adam Driver every night went to that same bar and he had one beer. That was his routine.
Yeah.
And you got the one the bartender playing chess.
Yep.
You got that one guy who refuses to, accept that one girl has dumped him. And everybody else. And it's just these brief, encounters with people.
Encounters. Yeah. And it's what basically makes up a life. It's a patchwork of it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of ironic. It's that the same taxi cab was used for all the scenes. They just changed a little bit here and there. But I loved that. I was like, that was the only same thing in all the scenes, or the interior of the cab.
It said it endures as a charming humanistic ode to ordinary nights and extraordinary little encounters. These aren't ordinary encounters. They're certainly extraordinary. Like, hey, you won't believe what happened in the fucking cab tonight. Perfectly aligned with Jarmusch's anti-mainstream ethos. It's a solid film. It's a very solid film.
Yeah,
and
very beautiful, man.
And to go with the next question of like what we may have missed, I like that each scene had a prologue. Like with Winona Ryder, there were the two guys in the back seat of the car,
right
before she got to Gina Davis, and the guy from Yo-Yo in New York trying to get the ride.
Yep.
Then the story begins. There's all these little scenes that get you into the scene, and I like that a lot. He did it like almost, I believe he did it in like every movie and every scene, and I liked that. I really did. I thought that was a nice touch because it gave you a chance to see who these people were before you started talking, or delving into it.
All right. Was there anything else about this film that we have not discussed that you'd like to cover?
Just that this was the template for me for independent movies. I think it was an early, sort of before I saw any Tarantino, before I even saw Kevin Smith. I sat and watched this one and was like, this movie is different than these formulaic movies that I'm used to. This thing was beautiful. It really got me. It got me into Jarmusch. Because after that, I remember each one I would see, Stranger Than Fiction and Mystery Train and the Neil Young documentary. This is really an introduction to not only Jarmusch himself, but independent film, all the way back in 1991.
I wish we were getting more of this today, more of this style of filmmaking today. We're not, and it's a shame. It's missed. It's missed. Even if you get a great film like Only Lovers Left Alive.
Yeah.
Which, I love that. He just lives in Tunisia. She just reads books. He's become like an experimental rock musician in Detroit, and he's got like familiar who doesn't know that, he's working for a vampire, like running errands for him, Anton Yelchin, back then.
Yep.
Certainly a good film. All right, let's get to the part in the stream where we rate the film. This channel has a rating system that goes from 0 to 5 up by halves. So 0, 0.5, 1, 1.5, all the way to 5. So 0, for example, would be I'd rather be smacked in the face with a fish rather than watch this movie again, all the way to 5, which is this is the journey, this is the destination, this is why I watch films in the first place. Yo-Yo, not Dean, Big Brother Almighty, what would you give Jim Jarmusch's Night on Earth?
I'd give it a 4.5 solidly. I would give it a 5, except I have a problem with seeing anthology movies as one piece. It can be great, like this one's fantastic, but anthology movies don't hold together for me as cinema. Like, you're not telling a story, it's not literary, so it's sort of like a short story collection, and I just can't hold that up to next to a novel and say it's the same thing. So 4.5, even though it's brilliant and I have no problem with it, it is my favorite Jarmusch movie, but it is not does not get to a 5.
Okay. All right. 4.5. John K. Alvarez, what do you got for us? Tonight on Earth, Longitude and Latitude.
I am agreeing with Yo-Yo Duncan over here. 4.5.
All right.
Solid 4.5. And again, I bet you 10 to 1 if I watch it again, I'll probably give it a 5 if we were going to rescore. But right now it's a 4.5, and I can't figure out why I'm saying that, but I'm going to stick with it.
Okay. All right. I am going with a 4.
Okay.
It had moments where, like, if I could give it like a 4.25, but I'm not going to alter my own rating system at this point, I would. But I don't think it's quite a 4.5. It had moments where, you could, like with Benini or, a couple of the other things, little things here and there, I would have said, okay, leading towards it, but a solid piece of entertainment. It doesn't try to be anything other than what it is. I liked it a lot. I'm glad I watched it. And as I said earlier on, if I can find a cheap copy somewhere, I'll buy it. No problem. All right. Anything you want to plug there, Yo-Yo?
I got nothing. Look for my band, Ye Old Bottom Turns. We play surf music on the Jersey Shore. We're working on gigs, but we have nothing yet. But I'll let you know as soon as I know.
Okay. Let's see. John K. Alvarez, anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I'm going to plug something, and Mike, you might get mad at me, but I don't care. I like to plug the fact that American Werewolf hit 5 years on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
I really do think that's you. We've always talked about this when you first asked me to come on and start talking about some of the films, but even now in the past year, with going with Kurosawa and all the, we're bringing up. And it's your, I don't want to say vision, but it's your leadership on running the channel and bringing in, different ideas, which is funny because it's sparking me to, hey, I remember always saying I wanted to catch that movie. Shut the hell up and catch that movie.
Yeah.
So on that, a round of applause for the American Werewolf.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you who've been here since pretty much day one. And we're still here, and no plans on dropping off anytime soon. Let's just keep going. For this channel, we have to figure out what to do because we were just talking. Now we need a director because I'm not going back to fucking Wes Craven. I'm just not doing that. And I was telling Bill, I think before he came in, after everything we've been doing for the past year, it's hard to switch over to something like Craven. it's just you're like, what the fuck is what is
Mhm.
like, I don't.
What are we even fucking doing with this?
Yeah. I remember, Bill, a long time ago. I was reading, I think it was an Umberto Eco novel, and I was like 37 chapters in, and I was like, it was like 400 pages. I was into this novel called Foucault's Pendulum, and I was like, I'm 400 pages in, and I have no fucking idea what this book is about. He's like, throw that fucking thing against the wall. He's like, let's be short. And so I've sort of adopted that. Now I'm just like, yeah, get the fuck out. Like, I'm not doing this. So I'm saying that to say this. We need something for the month of May because there are 3 weeks left.
We can do Name of the Rose next week.
Well, I'd like to stick with the director because otherwise it just becomes 3 weeks of random movies. And we were talking about The Lighthouse, like doing Lighthouse, but that's not Ari Aster, that's Eggers.
That's Eggers.
Right.
That's Eggers. So we could do Eggers, or, we could do Aster, which is, if it's Eggers, then it's Nosferatu, The Witch, The Lighthouse, and not The Witch, The Lighthouse and The Northman. If it's Ari Aster, then it's Eddington and Beau is Afraid. Because Begonia, we don't have access. I don't have access to that one yet. Or we could, just do something else. I don't know, and figure it out by the time.
Well, since Memorial Day is coming up, we can always pick our favorite World War II films.
That's true.
Diagnose and pick three
John
random
Ford
ones. I mean, Battle of the Bulge or Kelly's Heroes or something like that.
Let me mull that over. That may not be a bad idea because we can always look at like A Bridge Too Far or some shit like that.
Heck, man, even The Longest Day, which has everybody and their grandmother in it, and it's a great movie still that holds up.
Yep.
All right, let me mull it over, and I'll be in touch with everybody by tomorrow because tomorrow's Friday, and I need to let everybody know what movie to watch for next week.
You got it, boss.
All right, my thanks to Yo-Yo, not Dean, Big Brother Almighty. My thanks to John K. Alvarez, Tonight on Earth. He's at that longitude and latitude. We will see you all in the next video. All right, take care.
You got it, boss, man.